So, for my final project for American Indian Studies 102, I chose to look at the short fiction story White Hills, which is by award-winning author Rebecca Roanhorse, who is of Pueblo descent. White Hills was published in the anthology Never Whistle at Night, which was edited by Shane Hawk and Theodore C. Van Alst Jr. I think I'm saying that right, which was released in 2023. White Hills is the second story in this anthology, and it follows a woman named Marissa living a picture-perfect life in the HOA neighborhood of White Hills, just outside of Houston, on the day that she plans to tell her husband she's pregnant. But there is tension and turmoil underneath that superficial, perfect appearance. And going forward, I'd like to provide a trigger warning. There will be some mild language, reference to a miscarriage, and some eugenicist rhetoric. And how I will explain this is I will read a passage and discuss a theme. Read a passage, discuss a theme. So the short story opens with, White Hills is everything Marissa ever wanted, right down to the welcome sign by the community mail drop reminding everyone of the HOA rules. Some people don't like HOAs, but Marissa loves them. They keep the houses looking nice and the people uniform, and isn't that one of the reasons that she and Andrew chose to move here? Well, that and its proximity to her in-laws. So right away, this opening passage tells us a lot about Marissa's identity. It shows that she's, a more type A, tends to be a bit of a loves conformity and consistency type of person. This next passage also delves into her identity. Some people think marrying well is not an accomplishment, but they never grew up poor outside of Chillicothe, Texas, never slept four siblings to a queen-size bed in an old two-bedroom house. Never slept four siblings to a queen-size bed in an old two-bedroom house owned by their meemaw. Never had to wear hand-me-downs to class or the same stupid pink blouse 3 years in a row for school pictures. This also shows a part of Marissa's identity that she grew up poor, and for her to now be living in a more wealthy area is very much a change that she has had to adapt, but something, and that her lower income growing up is something that she is trying to put behind her, trying to not think about. Something that she does not resonate with anymore. She is just now the Marissa of White Hills. Marissa then follows to meet her husband at the exclusive country club that he is watching a football game at, because she intended to tell him that she is pregnant on that night, but Andrew, her husband, chose to watch the football game instead. Shortly after Marissa entered the country club, it proceeds like this. Andrew's absorbed in the game again, a hand now absently resting above her knee. Her confidence soars. She loves the weight of his fingers, the press of his wedding ring against her thigh. She's never been into sports, but she finds herself watching the TV anyway. Another lost opportunity by the team, and the man next to her, the one that gave her his seat, jokes, "This team's been trash ever since they changed their name. Goddamn social justice warriors ruin everything." Marissa doesn't follow sports, but she knows what he's talking about. She's seen people complaining about the chop on TikTok, read an article about Indian mascots in Vogue. She raises her voice so everyone can hear. It's a declaration. I'm part Native American, and those mascots have never bothered me. She realizes her mistake immediately. Following this, that statement is met with almost immediate hostility, but we can also see stereotypes in this passage with, the tomahawk chop and the use of people as mascots. Gross. And so this plays into this passage, and how the men in the club are responding to social justice warriors is very reminiscent of stereotypes and just how out here in the real world people are assholes about trying to make things a little less stereotypical and a little less gross. So, quick summary. Right after this, Andrew is very much feels hurt by Marissa just making this declaration of her Native American ancestry and pulls on her to leave, which causes her to trip, and she screams out, "The baby!" I don't want to hurt the baby. That also just takes Andrew by surprise, because obviously she hadn't told him she was pregnant yet. It's a real 1-2 punch for this man, but he's an asshole, so I don't care. This next passage deals with colonialism. We will be interacting with Andrew's mother Elaine, Marissa's mother-in-law, who, upon hearing that, has a very colonialist thing to say. Elaine says, "But part Native American? I'm sorry, we can't abide by that. And a grandchild of mine? Well, do we know how dark the baby might be? How savage they might be?" "But I'm white." Marissa holds out her pale arm as supporting evidence. So this passage and what Elaine is saying is very much very full of colonialist rhetoric of the idea of savages and how, there's a chance that, a child of mixed race ancestry might be darker, and how that's seen as something scary, although that is not actually, for the most part, how phenotypes express themselves in genetics, but that's a whole other conversation. And at this point, Elaine induces an allergic reaction in Marissa, which causes a miscarriage. And from here on out, it just gets even more dark, so heads up for that. Elaine says, "Well, people say part Native American, but really, dear, what part? Your left side, your right? And how can we get rid of that?" But I have a compromise. She reaches across the island and slides the chef's knife from the block, places it between them. "The pinky should do. Cut that off and we'll call it purged." Marissa laughs, because who wouldn't laugh in the face of a monster? But the monster doesn't laugh back. And then Marissa looks up. She slides off her shiny new wedding ring. Her perfectly manicured fingers wrap around the knife's handle. Everything for a reason. A door, a window, 100% girl boss. No going back, only forward. She smiles at Elaine, and this time she means it. "I want white hills." Elaine nods. Marissa brings down the knife. This final passage is grim and deals with the idea of balancing survivance versus just survival. And, Elaine in this moment is very much cornering Marissa, making it more of a survival than true survivance, which I would argue really survivance includes just thriving and accepting things. So that, but Marissa going forward will have everything that she wanted, so it will be more of a survivance. It will just be with a loss of identity. So those were all the themes present in White Hills by Rebecca Roanhorse. There's a lot I there's a lot that I had to skim over in this fairly short story, so I highly recommend you go read it for yourself. It is, I really, as someone of, mixed heritage, I resonate with it, but I do think anyone can find some find some connection in it of being made to feel small and trying to do your best to survive in a place where you feel out of touch. Thank you.